Now with beauty, beauty is one of the things where you can just let yourself into it. So when you walk up to a girl who you find beautiful, let that just out of your voice. Let it just sink into your words and be on the tip of every syllable. Hey guys, Hector Castillo Poppy from girlschase.com. Today I'm going to teach you the difference between sexiness and beauty. And, well, ideally you should look for both, but why you should focus more on the beauty of women rather than just the sexiness, because the sexiness can sometimes lead you astray. And then in the end, I'll give you a little bit of a game tip where you can actually use this idea of sexy versus beautiful in your conversation with women, and it can lead to a very nice part of the seduction and will pique her interest and introduce some nice frames that will help the seduction happen and help you seduce her. So, sexiness. I was watching, obviously they didn't originate this idea, but the inspiration for this video came from a recent podcast I was watching of Joe Rogan and some other guy. And the other guy said to him, I think he was talking about actually evolutionary biology or something. And he said to Joe, okay, I want you to picture a woman who's beautiful but not sexy. And Joe was like, yep, got it. And then I want you to picture a woman who's sexy but not beautiful. And he's like, yep, I got it. And I'm sure that you could immediately think of some girl in your life who you find sexy, but she's not necessarily beautiful, and different women who are beautiful but not necessarily sexy. So what is the difference? Now, it comes down to two factors. For sexiness, it's usually more about the body and the way that she uses it, the way that she has her facial expressions and her body language and the way that she speaks and the way that she acts and her movements. It's more of a raw, primal sexiness. It's, well, that's just a circular definition. It's more raw and primal, right? It's more about making you want to fuck her. Whereas beauty, it's more about her, it's a facial beauty, right? If you want to just take it purely to the physical realm, sexy is body, you know, butterface, great ass, great tits, face is just eh. A girl who's beautiful maybe doesn't have great tits, great ass, but god damn it, she's beautiful. But it's also about elegance. Instead of just being primal and raw and just making you want to fuck her and making her body move in ways and her voice move in ways that just, I don't really know how to describe beyond it, just makes you feel horny. Elegance makes you fall in love. You want to fuck sexy and you fall in love with beauty. And so you can see why I would want you to move more towards the beauty angle. Obviously you want to find a girl, ideally, who is both beautiful and sexy. Of course, those are the 9s and the 10s and the really amazing women who also hopefully have a good personality and are cool and not lame. So sexiness is going to be, because it's more of a body thing, it's going to be much more easily triggering of your sex drive because it's going directly towards that. And it's going to be a much stronger initial pull. It's kind of the same for women and men, or women liking men. You know, the hot guy, well, that gets their pussy flowing and gets them tingling. But the guy who makes them fall in love is not necessarily that same guy. The guy who makes them fall in love is the guy who touches something deeper than the pussy. It touches their heart and their mind, hopefully the full package. But men like that are quite rare. So mostly women kind of put guys into two categories, you know, the guy that they fuck and then the guy that they marry and fall in love with. The trend now in red pill and manosphere communities and channels is, you know, she fucks the alpha, then she marries the beta. I don't think it's that simple of a dichotomy. To a large extent, it is true, 100%, I'm not denying that. But I think that women do fall in love with the nice guy to a certain extent. He just never touches her on that physical level or on that lustful level in the heart and the mind, where he makes her feel alive and on fire. So the fuckboy or hot guy for the girl, and sometimes the seductress or the slut, or the sexy girl for the guy wanting the girls. So sexiness is going to draw you, because it's on a primal level, it's going to make you kind of act stupid sometimes, and it's going to make you just think with your dick, and so you're just gonna go. You know, you see a nice ass, you see tits, and you kind of just feel this, when you see a beautiful face, it's more of a mesmerize, like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. Like it's a beautiful painting that you want to just watch and just take in and enjoy. You want to bend over the sexy, and you want to kiss the beautiful. So facial and body, and I know that seems shallow, but I think it's most of the time a very good distinguishment. Like the girls who are and this actually, if you want to get into psychology of it, some of the girls who are some of the bitchiest, in my experience, the girls who are like playing the most hard to get and are sometimes the most bitchy are the women who are not so beautiful, but they're very sexy. Or the women who will make themselves appear beautiful because of makeup, lip injections, or even plastic surgery, but then their strongest asset is their ass or their tits or just their curves. And I think that on some level, well, on a very probably conscious level, they feel this and they know it. And they know that they're not as beautiful as that girl and they had to do other things to be as beautiful as her, but they got that sexiness. So they get all this attention from guys, and to a certain extent, yes, they like it. Of course, they like the validation, but it feels cheap. And maybe they're the kind of girls who get the guy fucking them, and I've heard these stories. I've known girls who've gone through this. I've talked to them, I've fucked them, I've spent time with them, and I know that guys want to fuck them, but then they don't stick around. And so that attention and that lack of follow through from men, it's gonna affect you, right? You'd be thinking, oh, she gets all this attention and she must be so happy. No, girls are used to getting attention, so they crave other things. As men, we see that and think, oh, they have the world handed to them, but they can be very unhappy because they're not getting what they want. So they're not seen beyond their sexiness. So basically, if you see that women are acting kind of bitchy and very hard to get, what you're gonna see is they're doing it out of resentment, and they're usually a sexy girl. So pay attention very closely, and I think you'll see that the math adds up. They're just resentful of it, or they'll play hard to get to make up for the fact that they lack that effect that the more beautiful girl has on the men. So they have to change their seductiveness and then make themselves seductive and learn how to speak sexy and learn how to make guys intrigued and then pull away just enough, but give just enough to keep them on the line. So their voice, their body language, their movements, and they know how to become sexy. Now, beautiful women, what we admire about them is that they have an elegance to them. They have, in the stereotypical, it's like the virgin beauty who's just kind of, dainty and pure. Now, every girl has a sexual side to her, so we don't fall for the Madonna whore complex here. We understand that every woman has an angelic side and a motherly side and a sweet side, and every girl has a lustful side, an inner slut, an inner whore, however you want to put it. She has the seductress within her. And so we should see women for the complex creatures that they are, the full fleshed out creatures that they are, just like we are complex creatures with multiple sides. We're not just pigs who want sex, right? Though we do want to fuck, for sure, but women do too. So the beauty is the face, and it's this more like this untouched painting, and almost to a certain extent, you want to have it around you, but you don't want to ruin it. And so when we're around beauty, we're very careful and we're very sweet and we're very gentle with it. So why, what is understanding this going to help you? Well, it's going to help you be aware of the distinction so that next time you feel intrigued by a woman or lusting after a woman, you can check yourself and go, okay, wait a second, Hector and little Hector, what are you feeling right now? Okay, I see ass. Okay, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with being sexually attracted to ass and tits. It's okay to be a man. It's okay to want to fuck girls and fuck a lot of them and fuck hard. But am I just looking for that? And if you are, that's totally just fine, but it's gonna affect my behavior. So I need to check myself and say, okay, I'm just feeling lust. Am I feeling that rapture of her beauty? Well, no. Okay, a lot of times when I walk up to girls who I find sexy, some of the worst reactions and worst rejections that I've gotten is with girls that I found sexy but not beautiful. And I think they can see it on your face. Because if I walk up to a girl I find genuinely beautiful, most of the time it goes really well. I'm not saying I get with all of them, but it's a nice interaction most of the time because people can pick up on these micro expressions and can feel your vibe just like this. But sometimes if you walk up to a girl and she's very beautiful, especially if you haven't seen her face yet, or if you have, but you're just like, fuck, great ass. You walk up and you're like, hello. And girls especially can tell micro expressions. People can feel these vibes, and she can feel that you're not quite all there. And especially if she's used to it, she's gonna feel like, oh no, the guy who wants to fuck me because of my ass, right? Even though she does tons of squats and puts it in a great package in some yoga pants, so we can't really blame guys for being attractive at least, or attracted to it. But she's going to be resented. And so some of my worst, she's gonna be resentful of you. Some of my worst approaches were from girls like that, who I was sexually attracted to, but I didn't find actually beautiful. And so they walk up and they kind of just give me this, and play that game. And I was like, oh, fuck, what the fuck? But then I thought about it, I was like, oh, she, probably didn't see that genuine attraction on my face, or just felt like I was another guy who wanted to fuck her for her tits. So check yourself and then ask yourself, I'm not saying don't approach her, if she has a great ass, great tits, again, it's okay to want to fuck her because of that, but just be aware that that's your motivation. And one little tip is what I want you to do is when you walk up to her, I want you to be not half-assing it, but kind of like know that you're doing it just because of her ass and her tits. And so don't like try to fake more interest than you actually have. Like, oh, hi, how are you, baby? Just walk up and be appreciative of her sexiness, because it is beautiful on a certain level, but we're making the linguistic distinction here. Walk up, be like, hey, excuse me, I saw you walking and I thought you look really nice. What's your name? You can pull back your interest and not overextend yourself, and then perhaps she will feel more of that sincerity in your approach. It might sound a bit esoteric and a bit like minutia and very small, but it helps, I promise. Now with beauty is one of the things where you can just let yourself into it. So when you walk up to a girl who you find beautiful, let that just out of your voice. Let it just sink into your words and be on the tip of every syllable. Wow, I think you're just so beautiful. What's your name? And she's going to feel that kind of more like divine masculine, divine feminine energy. But the one thing that you want to make sure you don't do is don't kind of like treat her as that, untouched painting that doesn't want to get fucked hard, because just because she's a beautiful girl and she looks like a good girl doesn't mean she doesn't want to get throat fucked and, have some raunchy sex and get, slapped around and have her ass slapped and fucked hard and hair pulled, because she has a sexual side, right? But I would suggest that you focus on beauty, because in the long term, it's gonna make you more satisfied. Ideally, you wanna find a girl who has both, but that stereotype of, fucking the girl with a great body, not so great face, and dating a girl with a great face, but maybe not so great body, but ideally has both, it's kind of true. So focus on the girl that you find beautiful, you'll be more satisfied, and you'll have better interactions in my experience. Now, lastly, you can actually use this kind of philosophical distinction that I made in this video when you're on a date with a girl. I was on a date with a girl, as an example, and we were talking about Scarlett Johansson. We were talking about Marvel movies, and then she talked about loving Black Widow. And then I brought up that, oh yeah, Scarlett Johansson's so sexy. She's like, oh my gosh, she's so sexy. And then I said, like, I think she's very beautiful. She has the full package, but she's more sexy. And I was like, sexiness is more of like it's a body thing, but also like an act thing. Like it's about the making yourself kind of move in certain ways and talk in certain ways and have a certain voice where you have boys just kind of mesmerized by you in like a thirsty dog kind of way. Like when I see Scarlett Johansson, I think, right? Whereas if I see a girl who I consider more beautiful, even though she's gorgeous, I feel more of a like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. I feel more of a love feeling. I'm still turned on, but I feel more of a love. And I said to her, I feel that there's this distinction between sexy and beautiful. And she's like, yeah, you're totally right. And this was first of all, it communicates that you see women on deeper levels, right? You understand them on a more complex level, and you think about these things. And women think about these things all the time, of course. They're thinking about beauty and sexiness fucking nonstop. So it connects to her on that level. Also, it can be a great time to give her a compliment. And hopefully you're not gonna tell the girl, I think you fit on the sexy level, but the beauty, I don't know, you're kind of a 7. Right? That's probably not gonna go over well, unless you're really good at like super offensive humor and she somehow eats it up. I've been said some pretty horrible shit to girls and had it go well because it was honest and because they had a good sense of humor, but I would avoid like going too far with it, okay? So give her a compliment on the thing that you think she has most. You gotta package it right. So with this girl, I packaged it, I said, I think you're very pretty, but I think that you have this like quiet sexy. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, some girls kind of have that look of like the quiet kind of nerd, the shy girl who, doesn't, do anything wrong. She kind of just sits home and watches movies and blah, blah, blah. But she has that naughty side to her. She has that wild side to her. Now you can use certain language if you want to be super direct, like I am, like I kind of talk about sex a little bit. If you want to be more obscure, be like, oh, you have that, maybe you have a wild side, right? But I said to her, I think you have that like I don't know, maybe you have like a little freak in you, like a little bit of these girls. They're really shy at first, but you know, once you get to know them, they kind of open up, and you know, they like to get wild and have a lot of fun and do, you know, they have a dirty side and have a wild side. And she kind of like, I explained it really deeply, and she's like, so what does this have to do with me? And I said, well, I think that you have this shy sexiness. And I said it, and I looked at her, and she just kind of like, and kind of like blushed and smiled and looked down. And I think that that helped a lot for the rest of the night, that we explored that side of him. So you can use it in your seductions to have better seductions. It's a great topic, and it's a great way to add a compliment to a girl without it being lame. It's gonna come off very sincere, and it can make the topic sexual, which is always good. So cool. That's sexy, that's beautiful, what to focus on, what's the nature of them, and then how to use it in seductions. Cool. Hector Castillo, Poppy from girlschase.com. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell. Go find yourself a beautiful girl and a sexy girl, and try that line, if you want to call it that, and see how it goes. Hope you have fun. Cool. See you soon. Ciao.